The book, here's what becomes clear. It's taken Paul a pretty good chunk of material to get us to the place where we're just starting to understand the balance between what it means to live in grace and to also know that there's some moral responsibility that the believer in Christ has and how the two of them sort of fit together. He has said some things at chapter 5 that will lead some people to think, well, I can sin all I want. That's the slanderous thing that people are generally say about those who talk too much about grace, as if that's a bad thing. And he goes a little bit further to help then the believer to understand, so what does it mean then? What do I do about sin? How seriously do I take sin in my own life, in the life of a believer? And I think that's the heart of the question that this last section in chapter 6 is going to answer. In fact, that's the question that he gives at verse number 15, chapter 6. Listen to the question. He says, "What then? Shall we sin because we are not under law, but under grace?" That question comes from what he said at chapter 5. Let me make sure that you understand where he's been in chapter 5 says to us very clearly, where sin increases, grace abounds all the more. Keep that in mind. There will always be enough grace to cover the sin of those who are in Christ. What then about sin in the life of a believer? And so we've got to examine the answer. Because the answer he gives is not simply to count on grace.